My name is Jorge Pineda, and welcome to my webinar. The name of this episode is called Creating a Gradebook on Microsoft Excel. And we will be learning the following applications and applying them, which are formatting basics, which include fonts, bold, merge and center, and wrap text. We will also be creating a table and perform certain math functions such as sum, average, VLOOKUP, if function, and data bars. Now this right here is Microsoft Excel. And if it kind of looks familiar to you, it's probably because it does. Microsoft Excel is similar to Microsoft Word. In fact, 80% of the tools and features are found within each other's software. However, on Microsoft Excel, the remaining 20% is a combination or additional tools, better said, which allow you to perform math equations, create charts, graphs, pivot tables, and other tools that just that otherwise wouldn't be found on Word. Microsoft Excel is an awesome tool to use, especially if you're in a profession that is dependent on data. In other words, you rely heavily on it. In this instance, teachers use data to know where a student is, what their learning level is. Accountants, financial gurus use data to understand the health status of a company. Engineers, scientists use the data to, as far as track and analyze a research that they're doing. And all these professions use Excel to help them on this. Excel, the biggest selling points to Excel is that, again, it's an easy way to store and organize your data, but the other beauty of it is that it allows you to convey those numbers in a message that's just easy to understand and to digest. Before we create a gradebooks, let's just talk about what are the names of certain areas, so whenever I am saying something, it's easy for you to reference or know what I'm talking about. Under this area right here, on occasions I'm going to be calling the tabs by their names. So under the tabs we have File, Home, Insert, Page Layout, Formulas, Data Review, Review, and View. And under each tab they have groups. So for the Home we have Clipboard, Font, Alignment. If we were to go to Insert, it would have the tables, illustration groups, charts groups, and so on. And under each group is what you have features or tools. So under the clipboard, we can cut, copy. Under the fonts, we can change it right here, or we can add bold, italics, underline, and so forth. Under this entire worksheet, if you notice that it's divided up into lines, and all these rectangles are called cells. When you are working in a specific cell, the proper name for it is called active cell. So if you notice this one right here, you know that this is the cell that we are working on because the borders are in bold. And so that is the active cell that we're working on. And on top, these are the columns, and each column is referred to by a letter. So we have column A, column B, column C, and so on. And these rows are referred to by a number. So we have row 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And the reason for doing that is because it makes it easy to locate a cell. So let's say in this instance I told you to correct something that you typed on cell G5. In this instance, you would just go to column G, and then afterwards we would look for row 5, and this is where G, column, and row 5 intersect. Now, what would you do if, let's say, you had 500 students, and I told you that there was a mistake under E325? You can scroll down, but obviously that would take a little bit of time. So what you can do is you can do a shortcut by going on this box right here, the name box, and we're going to put E325, press enter, and it'll take us to it. Now, with that said, that pretty much covers most of the basics and everything. On your own time, I do encourage you to explore and look around and experiment with many of the tools and features on here. Uh, but let's go ahead and move forward and create a gradebook. Now, for the purpose of this webinar, I went ahead and made the format very easy, and the reason for that is that it's will be easier for you to not only follow along but perform the assignments as well. If you have your own preference, and let's say you want to make it look a little bit more fancier, or you want to organize certain information in a different way, and then that's totally fine. It's really acceptable. It's whatever you feel what your preference is. As I said, the reason for me doing it in this format is just that I feel that it would be just easier for you to follow along and understand me. So on here, I went ahead and just name the gradebooks, the title, and then also put in the name of our school and the cycle that we are in. In this instance, I went ahead. It's going to be the first 6 weeks. Then in this row, I have student's name and already included the names on there. And this section right here are the grades. So and this is the name for every assignment that I have. So we have grade 1, 2, all the way down to 5. Obviously, these are very generic names. In our classroom, the names of the assignments would be different, such as Pop Quiz Chapter 1 or Fall Semester Exam. However, for the purposes of the webinar, we're going to go ahead and just use a generic name on there. And here we have total points. It's not necessary for you to have that on there, but I always like having that on because to show the students how many points they accumulated throughout a certain period. And then we're going to put in the average, which is we're going to be adding up or summing up all the data that's on here, and then we're going to divide it by the number of assignments. And then the grade letter. This is the area that the student's going to know if they received an A, a B, a C, and so forth. And credit. For credit, we're going to be using pass or fail. So if they did good during a certain time period, they're going to be told that they passed. If they don't, they're going to be told that they fail. Under this area right here, you notice that it's not connected to everything else, and I did that on purpose, because that's just my preference. If you choose not to do that, again, that's totally fine. But this area right here is going to be serving as our reference table. And on the reference table, it's going to tell the students that if their score is within a certain range, it tells them the letter that they're going to receive. That's on here. And so now that we go ahead and type in all that information, the first thing we're going to be doing is creating a table, which is all of this right here. So for the sake of time, I went ahead and as far as already pre-filled some information. So I went ahead and already entered the grades. And now let's go ahead and create our table. So under A5, I'm going to click on it and don't let go. I'm going to go ahead and drag it. And I'm going to fill all this area to where I want the table to be. And once I reach the point where I want it to stop, I'm going to go ahead and let go of the mouse. And what I'm going to do now is the following. I'm going to go ahead and enter a border on all these sections. There's 2 ways you can do it. First, by going on the home, and then under fonts, you're going to click on this right here. And it tells you what to put in. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on all borders, and there you go. The other way you can do that as well is by again, we're going to go ahead and click under this box now, but on your mouse, you're going to right click and you're going to go under format cells. And then we're going to look for border. We're going to click the outline, which is just going to give it the line outside the rectangles, but I also want a line within the cell as well, so we're going to click the inside, and there you go. Now let's go ahead and add the points for all of Jose's assignments. Instead of grabbing a calculator and entering the grade one by one, Excel can do that for you in just a few easy steps. on this instance, I'm going to go ahead and click Home, Auto Sum. And now what you see right here is Excel went ahead and highlighted the grades that that is going to be configured or summed up to 359. Excel does a great job of guessing what items you want included on there, but every now and then it will make a mistake. If that's the case, you can go ahead and make that correction. But in the meantime, you can go ahead and see as far as what is included on there, and if everything else is okay, in this instance for mine, it is. I'm going to go ahead and press Enter. And there you go. Now we have 359 points right here. And so obviously we're going to be doing the same steps for Lisa, Albert, Jen, and Alexia. It would be very easy for mine, a webinar, to do that because I have very few students. But what would happen in our classroom where we have, let's say if you're a secondary teacher, and you have 7 periods. In each period you have about 20 students. It's going to be very time consuming to do this step one by one for 140 students. So what you can do is that you can take a shortcut, which is what really Excel thrives the most on, is giving you shortcuts to make it more easier and efficient for you to perform certain tasks. So what we're going to do right here is under this cell, I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And now on this cursor right here, which is, you know that because it's the cross that is that's thick and white. When we move it close to this squared that's on the bottom right side on the bottom of this of G6, it slowly it will then change into a small cross that's in dark. And when you see that, that's your cue to go ahead and click on it with your mouse, and don't let go. You're going to go ahead and drag it down here to the bottom. And now it went ahead and summed it up for you. In case you're wondering, Excel does not copy everything what you did one by one. The data, better said, does not copy the data. What it did is that it just copied the formula that you used. So in this instance, if you see here for Jose, it says sum, then parentheses B6 to F6. When we go to Lisa, the only thing that changed is just the cells that it's referencing the information, but everything else is remaining the same. So you would do that for everybody else, all the way down to Alexia. And now we're going to put in the average. There's multiple ways to do this. I'm just going to show you the 2 easiest ways. One way would be is just enter the information manually. So I'm going to go ahead and type equal, and then it's going to be 359 for Jose, and we're going to divide it by 5 because that's the number of assignments that we have. And when I'm done, I'm going to press enter, and there you go, 71.8. The other way you can do it is by first let's click on the cell that we want the information to be on. This is going to be H6, and we're going to go to formulas, insert function, and right here we're going to go search for a category. We're going to go ahead and look for statistical, and under statistical we're going to click on average and press OK. Now again, Excel is going to go ahead and guess which items you want included. For the purpose of my demo, it's incorrect because what's it going to do is that it's going to include the 359. What I want to do in this instance, I'm going to go ahead and correct it by starting off by clicking 85 right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and drag it all the way to grade 5, and this is where it's going to stop. And now we got that in, and then we're going to press OK. And as I said earlier, the reason why I included this because Excel was just guessing that this is the number I wanted on there, but in reality it's not. If it was included, it would throw everything off. So on occasion Excel will make a mistake, it will guess wrong, and so in this instance what I showed you is a quick way of correcting that. And so what we have right here now is Jose's average, which is a 71.8. And now we're going to be doing the shortcut of dragging and copying the formula to the rest of the cells right here. And there you go. Now grade letter. Instead of having to type a letter for every student, let's say in this instance, Jose has a 71.8, which would be a C, and Lisa has a 69.8, which would be a D. Excel can go ahead and enter that information for you. And so what you want to do is we're going to be performing a VLOOKUP. So let's go ahead and click on I6 or whatever the cell is that you're working on. And on that cell, what we're going to be doing, we're going to type in the equal sign. Actually, before I do, let me go ahead and erase this right here, because as far as I don't want to throw anybody off. There we go. All right, let's get started on this. So going back to it, let's go ahead and type in the equal sign. And now we're going to type in V, like in Victor. Then we're going to, no space, just same sequence. We're going to type V, then L, O, until we come across lookup. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And once I do, I'm going to go ahead and enter parentheses. And now it's asking for the lookup value. What it means by lookup value in terms of where is it that you're looking for that information from. So in this instance, we're going to tell it to look on H6, right? So that is the lookup value. So we're going to say to look up H6, whatever cell that's on here. And now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and press the comma. Next thing we're going to be doing, we're going to be looking for the table. So this is the table that we're going to be referencing. So let's go ahead and highlight both of these. And when you do, you want to press function 4. Function 4 for many of your keyboards will be like right here. Other times you might even have to press the FN, which is again function, along with it. So I'm going to go ahead, oops, made a little mistake right here. Let me go ahead and correct that. So again, I'm going to go ahead and select this right here. Then I'm going to press function 4. And now you'll see that convert into $signs, and I'm press comma. And under column index, what that means is that what information do you want it to have typed on there. So let's go ahead and press 2, because the information that we want to have inputted is this right here, which is F to A+. Let's go ahead and skip the range lookup because we're already done, and we're going to finish that by entering the parentheses and press enter. And what we have now is the C. So what the VLOOKUP does is that it's kind of like Excel is doing what we do. In this instance, it's looking up at 71, and then it's going to get the information based on this cell. So obviously 71 is greater than, it's higher than 60, so it knows that it's not an F. It's higher than it's above 60, so it's not a D. But now it knows that since it's in this range, it's going to give a C. Let's go ahead and copy that formula for the rest of the cells. And there you go. Lisa has a D. Albert has a B. Jen has an F. Alexia has a B. And then credit. This is the part where we tell the student that if they pass or if they fail. So on this, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be performing the F function. So let's go ahead and type the equal sign. Most of the time, whenever you're doing something something that has to do with math or performing a certain tools, we're usually going to start it with an equal sign, and we're going to type IF for if, and then we're going to enter the parentheses. So it's asking for the logical test. In this instance, we're going to be entering that information on here. You can just go ahead and give me a moment. So in this instance, let's go ahead and click on H6 right here. And what that means is that whenever it's going to be perform the in function, it's going to be looking at the average grade. And now that we do, we're going to put in the sign right here that if the value is greater than a 70, then comma, it's going to be pass. And if it's not, comma, then we're going to type in fail. And when we are done, type in the parentheses, and there you go. So Jose passes the class. And let's go ahead and copy and drag this formula to the rest of the cells. And there you go. So Jose passed, Lisa failed, Albert passed, Jen failed, and Alexia passed. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, now let's go ahead and work on the formatting so our grade book can look a little bit nice. Let's go ahead and click on the home right here. Under the Gradebook, let's go we're going to click on the home tab, and let's go ahead and change the font to something a little bit more of our liking. Let's see. I tend to be more of an Arial person. And then I'm going to go, you can either change the size by yourself, or you can just go ahead and click on this right here and it'll increase it for you. Okay, and let's go ahead and do the same thing. Let's see, we use Arial Black, so let's go ahead and do the same thing for the name of our school. There you go. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Now, in this instance, the name is going across several cells. But what if you only wanted to have it in one cell? Well, if that was the case, then what you can do is just click Wrap Text, and there you go. It'll just be in one cell. Okay. If you don't want it, then just unclick it. Now, what if, let's say you wanted the name of our school to be across this entire thing? Obviously, what I've seen some people do is that they click on it, then afterwards they click space until they reach a certain point. But it doesn't have to be that difficult. What you can do is just, let's go ahead and start it off on A2. And let's go ahead and drag it where we want it to be. And under Merge and Center, it will merge all the cells, and then it'll center the content that you want. But let's go ahead and just bring it back, because as far as this is the preference that I want, then I'm just going to go ahead and bold this. And now let's go ahead and make our table a little bit more presentable. And so I'm going to do that by starting off on A5. Again, this is where we're going to start off. Don't let go. You're going to click on that mouse. Don't let go. You're going to drag it all the way over here. And now under Format as Table, we're going to find a table that we're happy with. In this instance, I'm going to go and tick on this one out here. It's just letting me know as far as if everything here is correct, and also as far as if this table has headers. In this instance, mine does. Name, grade, total points, and so forth. So I'm going to press OK. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for this one as well, for the reference table, that is. Now, what these do right here, these drop-down boxes are actually called filters. And so in this information, if you had 1,000 students and you're looking for the students that made that failed the class, well, just go ahead and click on this arrow right here, and we're just going to go ahead and select fail. Okay, and now it will only list the students that failed the class. So it's just one way that one of the things that Excel does to make your life a little bit easier. If you don't want it, just go ahead and highlight the whole row right here, or then afterwards, let's do this. We're going to click Sort and Filter, and we're going to unclick Filter, and so it'll remove it. Okay, great. We're going to go ahead and center this headers right here by just clicking Header. Just highlighting, and afterwards we're going to look for the center where the alignment is at. Now, let's say in this instance you don't want to center it, but you just kind of want to nudge it. And you can do that by just clicking on these arrows right here. So we unclick it right here. It's just going to nudge it just a little bit to where we want it. There we go. We don't want it to be in the center, just, it's just like a slight indent to the right. And then also for our names right here, we're going to go ahead and just bold as well, so that way as far as you can look what we, so Just makes it easier to view on the eyes. And then for this information, let's go ahead and center it. For the score right here, let's just move this to align it to the left. There we go. All right, it's looking pretty good. Now, if you notice on here, the width of each cell is a little bit different, right? So one way you can do, as far as if you go to the column, you can actually move it to the boundary right here, and here you'll have the cross again, and so this will allow you to go ahead and move the cell as you see fit. But you can also do it automatically by clicking on the cells that you want. In this instance, I'm going to highlight it right here. Then under format, we're going to say auto fit column width, and so it'll fit it automatically for us as well. Let's go ahead and do this too. Let's just remove the space that's not necessary. There we go. All right, and so this concludes my presentation. Hopefully it helped out. And the beauty of this, though, is that some of the tools that I used, that I taught you, you can also apply to other reports. If you have any other questions, please let me know. Other than that, thank you for your time.